So, hello everyone. I'm Rick Harding, or Richard Harding, depending on where I typed my name in the box at the time. At MITechie on Twitter, feel free to come and say hi. And I work in Juju engineering at Canonical, doing cloudy stuff and working with a lot of stuff. Ooh, I have a screen here too. Cool. So a little while ago, I saw that PyOhio was coming, and I was like, sweet, I've missed the last 2 years. I want to go back to PyOhio. So I'm back. I've been coming since the very first one. Catherine is amazing and awesome, and everyone go buy her anything she wants. And remember being in the little library with like 50 people. And so I want to come back. So I went, okay, well, I want to give a talk. So I went and looked at what can I talk about. So I looked at all my GitHub work and realized, what have I been doing? I have no idea. I can't talk about code. I have nothing Python to share with you all today. I am sorry. There will be no code on these slides. If you're in the wrong room, carry on. I'm sorry. Walk with your feet, right? So I sat down and went, okay, I got to think. There's got to be a way around this problem. I said, what have I actually been doing for the last 2 years since I came to my last PyOhio? And so a little history. I joined Canonical. This is our canonical way of saying things, like 1604, right? So in November of 2011, I joined Canonical as a developer. I did write code. I promise. I swear. I know what a for loop is. Doing Python and JavaScript. Around 2013, some point, I joined what's called the Juju GUI team. The Juju GUI builds a web interface with D3, and at the time UI, and all that. And it's a complete API client to what the time was a Python-based written Juju tool, and now it's a Go-based written Juju tool. And we do back-end web services in Python at the time for doing metadata and things. So there's a charm store, and there's a whole lot of code in there. And so I joined that team, and it was a really, really great team. It's a fully distributed team. So what's really interesting is I work with people from Italy, UK, North Carolina, Canada, Colorado, Puerto Rico. And so it was really interesting because I had never had that kind of diversity in a stand-up before. And I learned how to deal with a little bit better on accents. I'm very bad when people have accents, but I'm working on it. So as I worked through this, I started to kind of notice things about teams more. For instance, I noticed that everyone in the team brings different points of view. There's a lot of discussion these days about your biases and being aware of them and acknowledging them and all that. Well, I think it's very important to know these on your team. There are definitely times where I'd write some code, and maybe I wouldn't feel the most confident about it. I want to know who's the guy that can destroy that pull request, and I want to send it to him. Because if it passes him, then I did a damn good job, and I will be proud of myself, right? And then there's the times where you're like, this is controversial, but for stylistic reasons, so I'm going to talk to so-and-so, because him and we tend to agree on style. And so, that way the pull request gets landed. But what I did find, as I kind of paid attention to things, was that I really enjoyed beating heads with people that didn't agree with me. Lots of times, I've done a lot of architecting and stuff, and my motto when I had a team was, Rick has opinions. And they'll be like, what should we do here? And they would go, let's ask Rick. He'll have an opinion. It doesn't matter what it is. Batteries. I've got opinions on batteries. It doesn't matter. So I really enjoyed when I would bang heads and take my opinions up against the best other opinions. Because what I found was I was never right. Never. Right? I would be like, this is the pure, you should see this, it's obvious. And we would beat heads for an hour, and we'd walk away, and we'd realize I wasn't right, he wasn't right. The best thing to do was some amalgamation that we came up with after we beat heads. And that tension, that stuff is what made me better, and I learned to appreciate that. And that was by kind of focusing on knowing who to go to, who, by listening, kind of getting an idea of who was good at what in the teams, and not just being aware of it, but looking for it, putting it to work for me so that I could be a better developer. There are also people, like there's a guy on the team called Francesco. He believes in unit test coverage like nobody's business, right? There's some of us that go 100% unit test coverage, mythical unicorn. He'll do it. And what's amazing is he'll do it and get more work done than I can. Just no holds barred. He is a better developer when it comes to that than I am. And when I managed him, at first as a manager, I was like, you know what? Man, Francesco, come on. If that's great that you've got the 100% coverage, but you could be doing something else with that time. But it made him happy. Like he enjoyed work because he was proud of his work because of that. And as a manager, you go, look, he's getting more done than any other developer at a great high quality, and he enjoys his life. Let him go. You know what? enjoy life, man. I love you. You will be on my team as long as, other teams were like, we use Francesca for stuff. No, that's my boy. So you really need to pay attention to teams and their weaknesses, their strengths, or blind spots. And it's not just when you lead a team, but when you're on a team, because you really want to put that to work. And I noticed a trend. It was very hard for me to keep out of other people's business. I loved pull requests because I wanted to see what they were doing and why they were doing it, and I wanted to have some input. So I love to build cool things. I love to, move stuff around. But what happened is in February of 2014, I became the lead of the Juju GUI team. The other manager left, and I took it over. And then I had a whole new suite of lessons I had to learn. The team grew from 7 to 12. We hired a whole nother 5 people with another lead. It grew from 3 GitHub repos to over 20 code bases that we managed and had to deal with. And I realized I like leading. Holy crap. I wasn't doing code, but I was doing a ton of code reviews. I reviewed almost every branch that went through. I was in every technical discussion. I was getting involved in everyone else's work a whole lot more. And when that product came out, I realized that's my baby. Like, it wasn't like I did this feature of the thing, but the thing as a whole was mine. And as a person who just likes to build things and always said, I'll never do management. Management people, they can't, blah, blah, blah. I realized I was damn proud. You know what? And that was my team. So I want to give a credit to the managers I had. I listened and watched what they did and picked what I really liked and thought was very valuable, and we kept doing it. A lot of the stuff that I do when I run my team are not my ideas. I stole like nobody's business, and you got to do that. But you do that, you have to pay attention to your team managers and look at what do they do well and what don't they do well, right? So some lessons in team management. We have a weekly one-on-one schedule with everyone on the team. I firmly believe this is great. Programmers are introverts. You say, I have an open door policy, and that's great. They don't come bug you. They stew inside. They get angry. And especially distributed teams, they're not going to come bug you. Rick's too busy. So you have to be willing to really go out and go, look, every week we're going to chat. And when we chat, I will talk about what you're working on. I'll let you know what's up, the company coming down. And at the same time, I'll bug you about your personal life. Because a lot of times, developer issues, if they're seeming unproductive or whatnot, are actually personal issues at home. And you need to be aware of those to help make sure you can help that developer succeed. So, hiring a new team. Don't hire the same people you already have, right? The balance of the team. You need to butt heads. You need to get everyone to improve. You need guys that focus on ops, on front end, back end, this language, that language. Always try to get someone different, but you do have to fit the culture, okay? The other thing I'm going to challenge you on this is what makes a team, right? So is one person a team? Okay, 2 people a team. I just sent that guy on vacation because he's from Europe for 2 weeks. Do you have a team anymore? No. 3. 3 is a minimum, I feel like, to actually say you have a team, because that's the only way you can sustain code reviews, getting work done, moving forward, and butt heads in any productive way. So anyone that says I've got a 2-person team, I'm going to say not yet. All right, now that doesn't leave, that leaves room for experts, right? But you need guys who pay attention to the expert to be able to be productive when that expert's away. Visibility, everyone Kanban? If you don't, good golly, please go find out what Kanban is and look at it and use it to break your work down. And as a manager, turn it into a single source of truth. If there's a code review, link in the Kanban board. If there's a spec for it, link on the Kanban cards. Make it your single tool source of truth, and it removes all doubt from your upper management for your day-to-day and really helps the team out. I'll save questions because I'm running short on time. I'm sorry. All righty, experiments. I got tricked on this one. My previous lead would do experiments. Make the team do things they don't want to do by putting in an experiment. For the next 2 months, we're going to do this thing that no one wants to do, but it's good for you, right? And after 2 months, we're going to schedule a meeting right now today, in 2 months, on this day, on Thursday at 3 p.m., to review the experiment and pass or fail it. It needs to be long enough that they have a chance to get over the, oh my God, it's different, but short enough that they feel like there is an out. And sometimes they're actually bad. But what happens is you give things a shot to actually change a shot to actually live in your organization. How to submit code. Always, people should always do QA. We were talking about this, I think, at lunch or whatnot. If you don't QA the code, if you just review it and don't make the other people actually try it, you're not going to learn nearly enough. You're going to have code that functionally works and isn't part of the product in a good way. Let's see, QA is everyone's job. You need to auto-build the stack. Whatever lands needs to be able to be built, tested, and looked at. Not just by you, but yeah, by your product managers, by other teams. Things, it's an API world, right? I want to know what the API is today so I can see, did my tool that uses that API break? Before you make a release, and now you're in, oh shit territory. We made a release, everyone use it. And then all the clients go, yeah, but it doesn't work. Because there are a lot of clients. You put an API up, it's a usable tool. You've produced a product. An API is a product. And when you put it out, people are using your product that you don't know are using it, and you will break them. And that's not good. People don't use your product then, right? Always releasable master. This gets into my big thing. Feature branches are the devil. And anyone, let's go to bat. I will fight anyone on this. I have had so many experiences where I've been burned by this. Feature flags are real. Go figure out how to use them. They're hard. They take some lessons. It takes some tooling and stuff around it. But if you have a feature branch, if you have a branch that lasts more than 3 days, I challenge you that you are losing so much engineering effort by day 4 that you've done yourself a disservice. And not having a releasable master with stuff in flight and testable at all times, managing, I want to QA this feature that's in progress and has been for the last 2 months. I want to see how it's working. Well, go build it yourself? No, F you. You've got to release. I want to go look at what's there in master and enable a flag and try the feature out and see does it work or not, you know? Let's see, lessons in project management. So again, that was kind of team management and the processes, but then you get to the project. As a team lead, you have this great, powerful tool, permission to do X and not Y. Too often, engineers get told, your job is to do this. You're working on this feature. You're working on that bug. You're working on this thing. When someone else comes in and goes, I need help, they get resistant. Look, I can't help you with your problem with your code. My boss says, I have to get this bug fixed. I can't help you with this pull request. I can't help this other team, right? You as a lead need to find every chance you can to step in and give the other person permission. It's okay to fix the bug tomorrow. Help him right now, right? And that permission thing is something that comes up over and over again, and I feel like people don't really notice that as much. That you want them to be able to figure it out themselves. But you know what? It's that engineers aren't going to be like, it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission. They need the direct permission. Mini project teams, 3. You know why I like 3? Because I have a team of 5, and I build mini teams of 3s, right? So what happens is I have 3 people that know how to deliver the delivery pipeline works and the actual ops side, and they work together. I have 3 folks that do front end, so I can always do that. Anything that comes up always needs that trio of 3, and I find that when I need to do a new feature, I'll build a team of 3 around that feature. Again, so that you got a driver, a mini team lead for that little mini feature, and replicating that really works really well as far as dividing work, having someone that drives, and giving you the ability to be flexible as people go on holidays and all that kind of stuff, right? All right, lessons in product management. Now, how many of you guys think that I lead a team, but I'm not involved in the product? I'm not product management. Okay, good. I'm not going to have to call BS on anybody. I love that. So project versus product. I will say, I still get confused on this, right? It's very hard to delineate these things. If the product manager says we need to build feature X, the project manager needs to know when we're going to have feature X. What goes into feature X? How much work is involved? How much engineering effort? The two, they just go so tight. It's really hard, right? And as engineers building technical products, building an API or whatnot, you guys' opinion counts. You use APIs day in and day out. You know what a good one looks like. Don't let a product manager come to you and say, we're going to build this, and realize it's crap without pushing back and really helping to drive, right? Specification documents. Everything, right? You need a feature, it needs a spec. Engineers need to have a go-to guide to go look at for these things. Start very small. When we go to a sprint, in a week's time, we plan 6 months of work. We do them with one-pagers, and they're focused on the user experience. What it is, it's what the user should be writing and what should be happening. That's it. We don't do full user stories. We don't do technical implementation details or all that kind of stuff. It's just a one-pager. It needs to be quick, throw on a screen. What do we think? Does this feel right? If so, we can now go back after the sprint, flesh it out with all the additional material. But it's really easy and really important to focus on almost product first. I had a boss who liked to do front-to-back development. Build the front end so the back end can support it. There's nothing worse than starting in the back end and building this great database, all the correct relations and all this kind of stuff and a great API, only to realize the front page needs to do like a cross product of 5 different things, and it's going to take 5 seconds to load. That's because you started on the wrong end of the problem, right? So understanding the product narrative. Everyone on the team should understand why we're selling a product, building a product, or designing a product, right? Because every time in a pull request, you're going to look at something and question, should it be this way or that way, right? And if every engineer understands what the product's supposed to do, they can make a more intelligent decision on which way to go on that, right? You know what? Given that Rick was just saying that Juju's supposed to be used by people out of the box, the fact that this thing that requires you to put an optional flag on it in order to work means that it doesn't do that. That doesn't fit the product narrative. All right, does that mean I have 5 minutes then? All right, see, I screwed up there. I should have just said I'm going to take it. So lessons in general leadership, funnel of experiences. As you start out as an engineer on a team, you're one of many, and the boss says, let's talk about this problem and discuss and get various input from everyone's biases, bring it in, and they funnel it. When you move to leadership, you're on the wrong end of the funnel. I like to talk a lot. One thing I had to learn was to shut up. Because the job now is not to be at the broad end of the funnel with my experiences coming in. My job is to listen to everyone else's experiences and help guide them and make an intelligent decision and final answer at the bottom of the funnel, right? And that takes a lot. It's so hard to do sometimes. So what I learned is that I don't know anything at all. What I do is I spend my day asking questions. And the important thing is to ask the right questions. When the engineer is going down the wrong path, I don't say, engineer, you're doing this wrong, you're missing this and this and this. I ask smart questions. So this is really interesting and kind of cool. How would you handle this situation with this? And then the engineer goes, oh, shit. And when they discover it, it's a much more, what I like to say is, this is a conversation now. It's not me giving instruction, it's not me teaching. We're having a conversation amongst equals, and I have helped unblock them, change how they think, and corrected the product, the process and the product really easy. So all I do all day, I just ask questions. What do you think about that? What would you do with this? It's always a question, and I always try to do, this is really cool for this. I see where you did there to give them a little bit of their boost. But I think this is a really important thing for leaders. They ask, they don't tell, right? So what I say is conversations are better than anything. They're better than to-do list demands. Always try to form your communication as a conversation, and things will go a lot better. There's no risk in just having a conversation. There is risk in them going, well, I got told to do this, and I don't agree with it, and blah, 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 blah. So that said, there are unproductive conversations, and as a lead, you've got to smash them, stomp them. Don't let them go on. There's an email thread, and someone's asking a question, and it goes through, and you need to be able to get in and resolve the unproductive ones so that people don't hurt each other's feelings. What you're doing is cutting off the opportunity for bad communication to go on and cause division and such within the team, right? So as a lead, it sucks sometimes, but you've got to do it. All right, how many of you guys do open source projects? Okay. In 2014, my open source project Bookie, we joined Google Summer of Code. Craig back here helped me out because I wanted 2 students for a reason, right? Because how many does a team need? Does one Google Summer of Code student do me any good? No, exactly. So I needed 2 of them. So I got 2 of them. We did CI, code reviews, Kanban. I wrote feature specs. We followed the whole process. It was freaking amazing. I loved it. The students loved it. They got a ton out of it. I took the stuff I do at work and I put it to just an open source project. So what I'm going to say is your open source project is a project. It's a product. You want people to use it, right? You're scratching an itch, no doubt, but it truly is. And so I want you guys to think about what kind of things you do at work that maybe you don't do on your open source project and how you might change and shift that. And I guarantee you, a well-run project, a well-run team is much more productive and will build something much better than just, well, it's just itch scratching. Let's all have fun, right? So. In October last year, I became the interim director of Juju. Yay, smaller team. I had 5 direct reports, no longer 7, 12, whatever. But those 5, I had 12 teams with around 70 people. Holy crap. So lessons in team management. I'm going to blow through this real quick here. You are the great and powerful cross-pollinator. You are a bee. You fly across all the little fences, and you see what's actually going on. Okay? Your job here is to connect the dots. You should talk to him. There's silos between those teams. They have their own jobs to do, and your job is to connect them where they make sense, where you can reduce work, share knowledge, and all that kind of stuff. That's what I spend my day on. I mean, it really is. The thing is, there's an old saying that, as someone on the low end, that, shit rolls downhill. The CEO says, and the CTO says, and the director says, and then your manager says, and then you get stuck with the crap, right? Problems roll uphill really fast, right? So-and-so's unhappy, they didn't get the review they wanted, their boss goes, hey, this person's now a risk for leaving the company, and then, hey, it's my problem, yay. So I just want to say in defense, they roll both ways. And everyone loves to talk to the director, right? Every engineer loves to talk to the big guy and get insight. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And all that. Spend time with that. What I did is every 2 weeks, I had a meeting with each of the 12 teams, and they could either bring their devs or not, and I would then ask them, how's it going? What are you working on? Show me. And showing is really important, and I'm out of time. So products, demos, and I just want to say, the reason I'm not the director anymore is I burned out. And I can talk to you guys about that as well. I'm recovering from burnout by just managing a single team of 8 devs now and figuring out where I want to go from here. But it's been a wild 2-year ride. And I just want to say, never stop learning and learn how to watch people and learn from them. And I'm happy to go chat in an open space or at the conference or online or anytime. And really passionate, if you guys can't tell at all, about what I do. And it's not writing code. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And it's still fun. So thank you all very much.